Welcome to the grand opening of the WSU Washington Animal Disease Diagnostic Lab. I am Dori Borjesson, Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine. Thank you all for being here, and a special thanks to all that made the trip today with our COVID restrictions, and to those that are participating virtually. We are glad you could join us. Today we celebrate the vision of a few and perseverance of many, as we recognize this incredible new facility and its growing significance to the health of animals and people in our state, region, and beyond. Since its creation in 1974, the Washington Animal Disease Diagnostic Laboratory's primary objective has been to serve the state of Washington. This lab is an integral part of a network of tax-supported state diagnostic reference laboratories throughout the U.S. dedicated to the betterment of animal and human health. To help us celebrate today and provide a better understanding of the importance of this diagnostic facility to the College of Veterinary Medicine, WSU, and the Allen Center, and for the state of Washington, we welcome the following speakers: WSU President Kirk Schulz, WADDL Executive Director Tim Basler, Washington State Department of Agriculture Secretary Derek Sanderson, and State Representative and WADDL client J.T. Wilcox. I would also like to recognize today our partners from the Washington State Department of Health and our local county officials. Washington State Department of Health Deputy Secretary Lacey Fehrenbach, Jared Davis, Department of Health Assistant Secretary for Disease Control and Health, Dr. Scott Lindquist, Washington State Department of Health Acting Chief Science Officer, Bob Lutz, Assateague County Public Health Officer. This year, like no other, has highlighted the inseparable connection between human and animal health and the critical importance of disease diagnostics and surveillance as we've learned to navigate the COVID pandemic. WADDL has proven not only was the vision for this incredible new facility prescient, the WADDL team rose to the COVID challenge and nimbly moved to a more direct human public health through COVID testing, disease surveillance, and cold storage. In partnership with the local, regional, and state health departments, WADDL started the One Health Diagnostics Lab to serve our broader regional community. In addition to diagnostics and disease surveillance, teaching and training resources have been integrated into the design and development of WADDL. All operations are dedicated to the betterment of animal and human health for the next generation. From the new enhanced necropsy teaching theater to the advanced disease testing and surveillance capacities to supporting state and regional commerce, WADDL is at the center of animal and human health. Now let me please introduce to you WSU President Kirk Schulz. Kirk Schulz is nearing the end of his 5th year as president of WSU. He became the 11th president of WSU and is a tenured professor in the Jean and Linda Voiland School of Chemical Engineering and Bioengineering on June 13, 2016, after a 7-year tenure as the president of Kansas State University. President Schulz has made a remarkable impact while serving as WSU's chief executive. The milestones achieved under his leadership include record student enrollment, record research and development expenditures, the addition of new academic degree programs and research facilities to meet state needs, and the continued growth of the College of Medicine, which graduated its first class of students last week. Please join me in welcoming President Kirk Schulz. Welcome.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to everybody here, friends and colleagues, and everybody associated with not just the operations of this facility, but the vision, trying to figure out how we could expand WADDL to really have the facility that the state of Washington and this region really needs. WADDL's been one of our foundational pillars in our effort to improve animal and human health, serving the state of Washington with outstanding efforts and results since the lab's founding in 1974. This only happens due to the dedication of an outstanding faculty and staff, so please join me in acknowledging those efforts with a round of applause. I must say a live round of applause sounds so much better than it does on Zoom when everybody's kind of doing this, so it's neat to be in person. WADDL conducts 300,000 tests annually, and that number continues to grow. Since 1974, WADDL's testing demand has increased more than 250%, with 3 million tests conducted in the last 10 years. WADDL is the only animal health diagnostic laboratory in Washington state officially sanctioned and funded to provide comprehensive animal, food, and environmental surveillance for diseases such as influenza, tuberculosis, West Nile encephalitis, and foot and mouth disease. As such, WADDL is a critical resource for other state and federal agencies, including our partners with the Washington State Departments of Agriculture and Health. We are super excited by this facility. I look forward to seeing it and walking through it. I think when I got here, Dori said, well, have you actually seen the building? And I said, well, normally on these kind of projects, what I get to do is work with our legislative colleagues, seek funding, and then move on to our next project. So I'm really looking forward to walking through the facility, seeing the labs, and celebrating. And this is what today is, really a celebration of us adding additional facilities to support the state as part of our land grant mission. I also have the opportunity to thank so many of our partners that helped get us here today. First, I want to acknowledge our long-term former dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine, Brian Slinker, is here, and a round of applause. Brian, you did a great job getting us to this point. We would not be standing here today without the extraordinary help of a long list of people, and I'm going to attempt to get as many of them as I can, and I apologize in advance if I leave anybody out. It's great to have our friend and colleague, friend of agriculture, friend of WSU, J.T. Wilcox today, and I've sat in J.T.'s office many times, most of the time asking for something, and J.T. finds a way to support our university, support agriculture in the state, and I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. A round of applause for J.T. Wilcox. We also have a lot of other legislative colleagues that helped get this project across the finish line. Senators Jim Honeyford and Judy Warnick on this project over the years. Senators David Frocht, Mark Mullett have been absolute stalwarts in promoting higher education in the capital budget. We have thanks also to Representative Steve Theringer from Port Townsend, who drove out to see the old, spectacular WADDL facility on this very site when he was named House Capital Budget Chair in 2016. A special thanks also go to Representative Richard DeBolt in our 9th District delegation, Senator Mark Schessler, Representative Mary Dye, and Representative Joe Schmick for their great support of WSU. We also appreciate the support of our federal delegation, Senators Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell, Representatives Kathy McMorris Rogers, and Dan Newhouse. All of these supporters understood the vision for creating a facility that protects animal and human health and the importance of ensuring WSU remains an industry leader in disease surveillance, diagnostics, innovative research, education on a global scale. This dedication would also not be taking place without generosity and support of the Paul G. Allen Family Foundation and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, whose gifts built the existing building and helped launch the Allen School, paving the way for the public funding that has followed. Then finally, as a president, I always get a chance to speak at these things and receive praise from people for projects, but I also want to acknowledge the role that Vice President for Government Relations and External Affairs, Colleen Kerr, and Chris Mulick, our Director of Government Relations, had on shepherding this project talking to legislative colleagues, building support, and days that sometimes were a little dark on whether we're going to get this done or can we fund it over 2 sessions or whatever, kept the faith, kept us there, and I just want to acknowledge, so a round of applause, please, for our government relations colleagues, so thank you. And with that, so I don't get busted, I will mask back up, stand in my spot on the floor, and again, thank you all for being here. What a great day for WSU. Go Cougs.
All right, thank you, President Schultz. I appreciate that. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, WADDL Executive Director, Dr. Tim Basler. So Dr. Baszler is the Executive Director of WADDL and Professor of Infectious Diseases in the Paul G. Allen School for Global Health, College of Veterinary Medicine. Dr. Baszler has devoted his career to medical diagnostic laboratory science, research, infectious diseases, and training the next generation of diagnosticians. He devotes considerable effort to laboratory capacity building, both nationally and globally. High-quality medical labs are essential to state-of-the-art surveillance systems that detect emerging diseases, as well as endemic and epidemic pathogens of importance to both human and animal health. Beyond leading the effort to build this amazing facility, which Kirk Schulz does need to tour, Dr. Baszler is largely focused on the advancement of laboratory diagnosticians and supporting regulatory disease officials with the long-term goal of increasing capacity in developing countries to ensure that national disease surveillance systems are implemented, effective, and biosecure. We all now know firsthand how critically important disease detection and surveillance is to global public health. Dr. Baszler was elected to the Washington State Academy of Sciences in 2020. In addition, he received the American Association of Veterinary Laboratory Diagnosticians Distinguished Service Award last year, and he is a critical and highly respected member of the College of Veterinary Medical Leadership Team. Thank you, Tim, for your service to local and global community, and please join me in welcoming Dr. Baszler.
Thanks, Dori. I feel like I should ask for a raise now. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining this celebration. Let me start by thanking some key members from the College of Veterinary Medicine that have helped make this vision possible. And I'll start with Dr. Tony Galena. He was a director of this lab in the beginning at the 1970s. And his dedication to serving animal health and to educate the next generation of diagnosticians. Tony passed a few years ago, and I wish dearly he could be here today. Dr. Terry Mcelwain, recently retired Regents Professor from this Paul G. Allen School for Global Health and previous WADDL Director. For his broader mission, carrying WADDL into a broader mission and national prominence. Dr. Guy Palmer, Senior Director of WSU Global Health and also a professor in the School for Global Health, who along with Terry had a vision to physically connect the Allen School and WADDL to synergize our combined missions, captured well in the wall behind us, dedicated to the betterment of animal health and human health. Dr. Brian Slinker, former Provost and longtime Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine. I've been in diagnostics a long time and I audit other labs, and there aren't many deans that support their diagnostic lab as well as Brian Slinker did ours. We were lucky to have you, Brian. And also to invest some money into the initial design of this facility when it was difficult and unknown how we'd move it forward. Dr. Kevin Snekvik, he's the current WADDL Director of Operations. He's been my steady partner the past 4 years, making this new facility become a fully functional reality with our very customized and highly specialized needs. Over the past 4 years, we've learned way too much about HVAC and steam systems and autoclaves and deionized water systems, fire codes, and gigabyte passive optical networks. That's how we move big data around. Things we most certainly didn't dream of when we were sitting for our pathology board exams so many years ago. And lastly, Chris Mulick and Jim Jessernig, working with government relations with the legislative process to get the funding for this building. You can't build a building without money. So I appreciate your effort on that too, Kirk. Of course, there are other key external partners. The Washington State Legislature, whose commitment to WADDL and the health of our state's people and animals is demonstrated through funding of this project. The Washington State Agriculture Commissions and Farm Bureau, whose support compels and sustains continued state and federal investments in research, discovery, and service. The animal agriculture leaders in our profession, who dedicate their lives to creating a successful economy, workforce, and food supply, and for their unwavering support of a lab like ours to partner in that very important endeavor. To our many WADDL clients who put their trust in us every single day to help keep their animals healthy and thriving and safe. And lastly, to Perkins Will Architects from Seattle and Boughton Construction from Spokane, who took our collective visions to build this beautiful and fully functional facility. So if I could take a few minutes to say, to explain to you, what does WADDL do? Some people don't know that, especially out there in the audience. Well, WADDL is a full-service, fully accredited disease surveillance laboratory on the front lines of our region's and nation's defense against emerging and foreign diseases and foodborne illness. As a medical testing laboratory, our fundamental responsibility is to provide accurate, reliable, and timely test results to our animal-owning clients and to regulatory decision makers to help safeguard livestock and pets and poultry and fish in the Pacific Northwest and nationally, and to protect our public from zoonotic diseases, those diseases that are transmitted from animals to people. From the funded disease surveillance partnerships we have with federal agencies such as USDA and FDA and CDC and state agencies like the Washington State Department of Health and the Washington State Department of Agriculture, to our everyday interactions with individuals owning animals, fish and poultry farms, cattle ranches, companion animals of every size, shape, and type. We are serving a community wide and far-reaching. This, of course, only happens with the dedication of expertise of outstanding faculty and staff. I would like to acknowledge their efforts as President Schultz did, since without good people, we simply couldn't do good work. We have a lab staff of over 100 people, and it means so much to them to have such an important purpose through valued service to all of you. You have worked hard for them in helping this facility become a reality, and they are dedicated to work hard for you into the future. The essential nature of what WADDL does was particularly evident in the COVID-19 pandemic. At the beginning of the pandemic in early 2020, in the middle of many businesses closing as part of the shutdown, a WADDL fish client called us and reached out and asked the question, a simple question, are you going to be open? He said, if you're not open, we're not open. It is our job 24/7, 365 days a year to serve the public. So we were glad to say, yes, we will be open. As Dean Borjesson mentioned, the COVID pandemic brought a variety of challenges, but with those challenges came great opportunity to serve public health at a broader level. Early in the pandemic, at the request of the Washington Department of Health, WADDL launched the WSU One Health Diagnostics to help increase human COVID testing capacity in Eastern Washington. WADDL, with its technical expertise, quality assurance accreditation, together with practiced experience in responding to previous large-scale epidemics, such as bird flu in 2014 and bovine spongiform encephalopathy in 2005, made that lab an obvious state asset in responding to and recovering from COVID-19. Yes, we will recover in the Palouse and beyond. We partnered with Insight Diagnostics, a private laboratory in Spokane, to serve as a fully HIPAA-compliant regional hub for rapid turnaround, high-throughput surge testing to address human health needs and save human lives. I hope you agree we've been good stewards of the public money to build this new facility. We are excited to launch the next phase of our growth with more capacity, advanced technology, and capabilities to support both animal health and human health far into the future. Since you can't all be here to join us, and believe me, I wish you could all be here, here's a short video to introduce you to our new facility.
The Washington Animal Disease Diagnostic Lab, or WADDL, is a leader in the discovery, detection, and prevention of diseases affecting livestock, pets, poultry, and fish in the Pacific Northwest.
The WADDL runs 300,000 samples each year, so we've tested about 3 million samples over the last 10 years. So the WADDL testing load has increased since the 1970s about 250%. Testing isn't decreasing, it's increasing.
With this increase came the need for a larger, more efficient lab and research center. The new WADDL is 4 times larger than its previous home. The $61 million facility was constructed entirely with state funds, generously provided by the citizens of Washington.
WADDL was designed with that concept of a box within a box, and that is the root of biosecurity and biosafety. Biosecurity has become ever more important these days with zoonotic diseases that might escape and cause disease in humans. Increasing or making more efficient workflow in WADDL has to do with getting the samples to the testing labs more efficiently. We designed the building around logging those into our information system as efficiently as possible and then having the labs come and get those samples as easily as possible. Kind of a pull theory. They come and pull their samples out of sample receiving. We increased the size of sample receiving about 5 times. We put screens in every lab that are like airport screens, where it tells you like the next flight is coming from here and it's landing there. Except this one says, you got this many samples, here's what they are, come and get them. But that really adds to efficiency and also helps with safety as well.
These hallways also play a key role in the safety of everyone working at WADDL.
WADDL has quite a complex HVAC system. So if you walk down one of our hallways in this building, you would see the labs are distinctly separated from the office areas. And it's not just a physical separation, the actual air in that hallway flows into the lab and not out of the labs.
The design of the new WADDL increases access to cutting-edge research done at the Paul G. Allen School for Global Health.
The concept was to have basic researchers that are doing bench research to be physically interacting on a daily basis with a diagnostic lab. And a diagnostic lab does field work, basically. So the basic researchers benefit by doing that basic research on real issues. And we benefit from them just making new discoveries that we can quickly then implement.
Access to a state-of-the-art educational facility was another requirement in the creation of the new WADDL.
So having a building like this is really, really important for students to understand how samples are run, how diagnostics are run, how tests are run. They can see the results of their actions. Our students will go out in the community, they become our ambassadors, and they become our clients in our outreach.
The new WADDL was built to be flexible and agile. Labs can be configured for health challenges as they arise. One such challenge is the COVID-19 pandemic.
Back when the pandemic started, everybody wanted desperately to help. Because we do high-throughput testing in animals, the State Department of Health asked us to do high-throughput testing for people. So we ramped up what's called WSU One Health Diagnostics as part of WADDL. And we started testing human nasal swabs from all across eastern Washington.
Another area where WADDL is doing more is aquaculture.
We've gone from 12,000 tests per year to over 42,000 tests per year. One of the things we've brought into this facility is robotics and ELISA testing. You can look for different bacterial pathogens with this system, and what it does is it allows us to do high throughput screening of samples. So something that used to take a day now can be done in a matter of a few hours. Within the last year, we've taken on a partnership with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It's a partnership between the federal government and a state university like this that has never been done before.
It's really awesome to think about now the center that's here and the amount of work that can get done, where we can be assured that diagnostics are done right, that we can certify that our animals are pathogen-free so that we can trade in animals within the country and internationally.
We're dedicated to the betterment of animal health and public health and human health. We've always wanted to increase that mission, so more, do more.
Very impressive.
It's just a wonderful state-of-the-art facility.
The new WADDL is a remarkable achievement, and we're ready to get to work.
That was great. I really love that video, so thank you for all of that. So one of the many aspects that inspires me at the College of Veterinary Medicine is our genuine relationships with federal, state, and local government. WADDL today can also celebrate our great relationship with Washington State Department of Agriculture. So it's my pleasure to introduce WSDA Director Derek Sanderson. Derek Sanderson serves as the Director of the Washington State Department of Agriculture, appointed by Governor Inslee in June 2015. Previously, he served in the State Department of Ecology, directing the Office of Columbia River, where he oversaw numerous water supply development projects. His agency's portfolio includes responsibilities in animal health, plant inspection, food safety, fruit and grain inspection and certification, weights and measures, I kind of like that one, pesticide registration, and marketing the state's agricultural products regionally and globally. I'm going to ask you about that one later. Under his leadership, Director Sanderson has strengthened previous partnerships and championed new collaborations through WSU with Connors and Extension. Although I've served as dean for less than a year, I have had the pleasure of meeting with Director Sanderson on at least 3 occasions. He is clearly an engaged, enthusiastic, and experienced leader with the desire to build and support programs. So please welcome a great friend and partner of WSU, Director Derek Sanderson.
Thank you, Dean Borjesson. Appreciate that very much, and I'm grateful to be here today. This is a momentous occasion. It seems like yesterday, really. We were at the other end of the building doing groundbreaking for this facility, and boom, it's here, and it's being occupied and already serving the people of the state of Washington. I really want to thank President Schultz for his continued, and the WSU team in general, for his continued support for Washington agriculture and for agricultural research. WSU leads the nation in agricultural research in terms of being able to support our industry, and that support actually the research benefits agriculture across the country, really. And I know there's a lot of people that you've heard already that have worked so hard on this to make it happen. But Dean Slinker, former Dean Slinker, Vice President Kerr, certainly Dr. Baszler, and there's Jim Jesternig in the corner hiding. But it's just an amazing accomplishment. The WADDL facility really is a source of pride for WSU, but also for Washington agriculture and for the citizens of the state of Washington. So this state-of-the-art facility, it gives us a greatly enhanced capability around detection and control, in some cases prevention, of the spread of animal diseases. And as Dr. Baszler mentioned, those benefits also accrue, well, they accrue generally to the public, but directly to the Washington public in the case of the COVID-19 pandemic, where WADDL was able to greatly enhance the capability for COVID-19 testing in eastern Washington. So it's already paying dividends to the state of Washington and our people. So I look forward personally to that continued partnership. We've got a lot of things to do. We've got, the sky's the limit in terms of, I think, where we can go in terms of building new partnerships in a lot of arenas around food systems and related areas. So I'm personally just like thrilled to be part of this. So I'm going to end there, but I'm going to also introduce the next speaker. That's oh yeah, sure. No. No. Yeah, I did it. I was in my spare time. No. No. The only thing that I can say is that I have at least tried to help market Cosmic Crisp. So yeah, I've been happy to do that on many occasions. So. But it gives me a pleasure to introduce Representative J.T. Wilcox. J.T.'s been in the legislature since 2011, represents the 2nd District, which is basically South Pierce County and part of Thurston County. He was born and raised on a 5th-generation farm. He certainly knows agriculture, knows farming. He's been through his life, he's been engaged in animal ag organizations. He's also a WSU Cougar and just a great leader for our state's agricultural industry. And his leadership transcends his 2nd District. I mean, it's a statewide effect when you have strong leaders that are promoting agriculture and agricultural research. And I know his support for this facility and WSU in general has been very helpful to us as an agency and to the agricultural industry, and again to the benefit of the people of the state of Washington. So, Representative Wilcox, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Derek. That was a lot more introduction than I deserved. But I appreciate it. I, in my 11 years in the House, have gone to almost no groundbreaking or ribbon-cutting ceremonies because it's just so distasteful in some ways for politicians to go and take credit for what so many other people plan and do and what the taxpayers pay for. But this is an exception. This is a monument. Not that I mean that I or any politician should get credit, but this needs to be acknowledged because it has meaning that a lot of people don't even know, even in the animal agriculture world. And just to give you an example of how critical this is to the survival of animal agriculture in Washington, a few years ago, this was referenced once already, the worldwide avian influenza that hit, I think, in 2014 or 2015. That was first detected in Washington, as I recall. And the impact was this: 1/3 of the poultry in the entire world were killed or died as a result of that. It started, I don't want to take credit for starting it in Washington, but it was detected in Washington. Derek immediately put a group together to do everything that we could to control it. It never spread in Washington. In commercial terms, Washington was untouched by this worldwide catastrophe. And it just tells me that in the world of business and science and ag, the disaster that you prevent is every bit as critical as the disaster that you respond to. And in fact, although you can never measure it, it may be that the disaster that you prevent is the most significant disaster that there is. I want to bring up a name here. I don't know if anyone here is old enough to remember this person, but I sure do. Dr. Roscoe Balch. Graduated from WSU, from the School of Veterinary Medicine here, probably about 1940. He served in the military treating war dogs in Korea. And the reason that I know Dr. Balch is, first of all, my family got to know him because in the 60s or 70s, he was a very early director of the Poultry Diagnostic Lab. And my grandfather admired him so much that he hired him, and he spent about the last 20 years of his career working with us. And if he is any example of the kind of people that are here now, we are a lucky, lucky state. One of the most wonderful people I've ever known. He's been gone for a long time, but I wish he was here, and I hope that there's a few people that remember Roscoe. The significance of this is so great because I think this puts an exclamation point to the idea that animal ag is going to stay in Washington. There's not many enterprises that have had deeper roots in our state than all of the various facets of animal agriculture. And a lot of times animal ag is under attack. This says that we're not going to give up on animal ag, the business part or the cultural part. I think it also says that it's not just about the past, because anybody that does business in the food business in the state of Washington understands that we have some disadvantages. Nobody can say that the state of Washington is a low-cost place to produce for the most part, but it also is the greatest value-added food market in the world. If you look at the market that people that are involved in the food business in Washington can access from the Bay Area up through to some extent Vancouver, Canada, there is no concentration of people that value food. They need to pay for it than what we have right here. And it is so critical for all of us that we invest in the future of agriculture. I wonder if anyone here remembers how the FFA creed starts. I believe in the future of agriculture. There's still people that believe in that, and they have a lot of pride. What this will do, first of all, is help people understand, the people that are willing to support value-added ag, which is, when it comes to animal ag, maybe the only ag that will survive in Washington. That's based on the trust of the public. And their trust in food starts in being sure that we have healthy animals that are producing that. That has an impact on everybody. And these value-added consumers care a lot, not just about the way that the health of the animals affects them, but they care about the animals too. And Washington is fortunate to have a lot of very capable people left in ag that are willing to adapt and understand that survival is not just about doing it the way their parents did it or their grandparents. It's about adapting and honoring the values of the people that are your customers. And I think our customers, our consumers, our citizens and our voters will appreciate the fact that we're willing to make this investment in the future. Thanks everybody that worked on it.
Thank you, Representative Woodcox. I can assure you we are still training amazing diagnosticians, pathologists, and what's so wonderful about it is just what you said, right? Their best work is often the unnoticed things or the things we prevent, so thank you for that. As President Schultz and others have mentioned, WADDL's work advances knowledge and makes that knowledge and expertise available to our public health system, our key stakeholders, and WADDL clients. Our work helps our livestock and aquaculture industries thrive with healthy animals and directly protects human health. All of our veterinary students benefit from education grounded in the real world of day-to-day diagnostics, service, and outreach. WADDL helps our students better see the many ways that their intended profession serves society. This lively, gorgeous, vital laboratory in our midst helps us offer what we believe to be the nation's premier training program for graduate students and residents who will become the next generation's leading pathologists, microbiologists, epidemiologists, among others. The academic environment that infuses WADDL's operations helps us advance the state-of-the-art by discovering new disease-causing pathogens and developing better, more rapid diagnostic tests. And we are able to make good on our aspirations to serve the needs of the world's poorest people through programs such as in the Allen School. Our global efforts depend on building laboratory infrastructure and training a workforce to help improve disease surveillance and disease diagnosis worldwide. Thank you all for attending today. Really appreciate that and helping us celebrate this accomplishment. Thank you all to people who are creating this reality. Thank you, President Schultz, Representative Wilcox, and Director Sanderson for your continued support and sharing your thoughts and time with us today. We look forward to the future and all that this new capacity will bring to teaching and training, research, commitment to public service, and the provision of state-of-the-art testing, diagnostics, and disease surveillance to keep our animals, human, and environment healthy. So President Schultz, this is your big moment. Would you please join me to cut the ribbon and formally open this amazing facility? Yeah, exactly. Don't run with scissors. Yeah, turn. Right, there we go. I'll let you do that so people can grab it. Thank you. All right. Everybody, yes. Yes, I think we're done. Thank you. Celebration now.